All right. Welcome to our deep dive.
Yeah.
This time it looks like you've given us a really fascinating stack of sources
Yeah.
on the psychology of financial markets.
Yeah.
So we're going to be exploring some pretty intriguing territory.
Yeah, it's an area that even the most, seasoned professionals often overlook.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Our main guide today is Denise Shull's book,
Oh, right.
Market Mind Games.
Yeah, yeah,
She works with traders.
yeah.
And her insights into the mental game of the market
Huh.
are really eye-opening. We've also got academic papers, magazine articles,
Yeah.
and some real-life trader stories to round things out.
Yeah, from the looks of it, you're interested in understanding how our
Yeah.
minds influence our decisions in the market,
Mhm.
maybe even gain an edge in the face of all this uncertainty.
Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to decode human behavior in the market.
Right, right.
And speaking of decoding, that brings us to our first point, the illusion of numbers.
Okay.
Shull argues that market prices are not objective truths.
Yeah.
They're reflections of collective human perception.
Which raises the question, what's driving those perceptions?
Right.
When we dig a little deeper, it's this intricate dance of emotions, biases, social influences, all swirling around.
Yeah. It's not enough to just crunch the numbers.
Right.
We need to understand the why behind those numbers.
Yeah.
Remember the 2007 market swings?
Oh, yeah.
The CEO of Goldman Sachs called it a 25th deviation event. Statistically impossible,
Yeah.
but it happened.
Oh, it certainly did.
Right.
It highlights that human behavior doesn't always follow the,
Right.
Neat, predictable patterns of statistical models.
Right. And even, this reminds us that even the most complex algorithms are built on human-created models.
Right.
There's always a human element at play.
Absolutely.
But wouldn't that mean then that pure quantitative analysis isn't enough?
Precisely. To truly understand market dynamics, you have to factor in the human element.
Okay, so that leads us to the power of perception then.
Right.
Okay, so economist Frank Knight introduced this concept of Knightian uncertainty.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that the future is inherently unknowable.
Yeah.
So decisions in the market are less about knowing what will happen and more about judging how others will perceive future value.
It's not just about what you think,
Right.
but what you think everyone else thinks.
Right. It reminds me of Keen's beauty contest analogy.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about picking the prettiest face.
Yeah.
It's about predicting who others will think is the prettiest.
Exactly. So social thinking becomes absolutely crucial here. If you can understand how others will react to information and events,
Right.
that's a real key to unlocking these market dynamics.
Yeah, before we move on, there's this idea of fractal emotional contexts, or FECs as Shull calls them.
Right.
I'll admit this is a new one for me.
Okay.
What are they exactly?
So FECs suggest that repetitive patterns from our past, especially childhood, can unconsciously influence how we perceive and react to events, including market events.
Yeah.
These patterns become embedded in our subconscious, and they can resurface in some really unexpected ways.
So you're saying that childhood experiences could actually impact how we trade?
Yeah, it might sound a little far-fetched, but
I have to admit, I'm a bit skeptical.
I understand, but just think about it.
Oh.
Our early experiences shape our understanding of the world, our relationships, how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
These patterns can become so ingrained they influence our reactions without us even knowing it.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that might play out.
Okay.
But how do these FECs actually affect our trading? Do you have any examples?
Yeah, so Shull describes a client who always exited winning trades early. It turned out this mirrored a childhood feeling of never getting what he wanted.
Wow.
It was as if he was unconsciously sabotaging his own success.
That's incredible. So are we all just walking around with these hidden programs running in the background,
It's a possibility.
influencing our decisions without us even realizing it?
Yeah.
If so, how do we even begin to uncover and manage these FECs?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
But before we dive into that, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the importance of context.
Okay.
Even seemingly objective facts only gain meaning within a specific context.
Right. Just looking at the numbers in isolation doesn't tell the whole story.
Right.
We need to understand the narrative behind them.
Exactly.
Like the Dow Jones at 10,000 means nothing on its own.
Right.
Is it coming from 8,000 or 20,000?
Yeah.
That changes everything.
Exactly. Context is everything.
Right.
There's research by Dr. Shull showing that even athletes with a predetermined plan will deviate from that plan based on the context of the game.
So they're constantly adapting their strategy based on what's happening around them.
Yeah.
That must apply to trading too, right?
Yeah.
Sticking rigidly to a plan probably isn't the best approach.
Absolutely. You need to be responsive to the ever-changing market landscape.
Right. Your decisions should always be informed by the current
Right.
market narrative, sentiment, recent events.
The whole picture.
The whole picture? Yeah. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
Numbers, perception, context.
Yeah.
But where do our emotions fit into all of this?
That's where we get into the fascinating world of embodied cognition.
Okay.
Our brains don't operate in isolation. Our physical state and emotions actually influence our perception and decision-making.
Hold on. Are you saying my emotions are valuable data points when it comes to trading?
It might surprise you.
That's not what they teach you in finance class.
I know, but the research supports it.
Really?
There's a study by Kunin and Knudsen
Okay.
showing how looking at images of, say, rotten food or erotic scenes can actually impact investment choices afterward.
Wow. So even seemingly unrelated stimuli can prime our judgments and influence our decisions.
Yeah.
What else might be influencing our trading without us even realizing it?
Well, there's also the hot coffee study.
Okay.
Simply holding a warm cup of coffee led participants to judge others as more generous and caring.
Wow.
It suggests that even physical sensations can prime our judgments.
So we're far less in control of our decision-making than we think.
It seems that way.
How can we manage all these factors, especially when trading?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the concept of managing psychological capital.
Okay. So we've uncovered this idea that our emotions can actually be valuable data when it comes to trading.
Right.
I'm curious, how do we tap into that and actually manage this psychological capital you mentioned?
Yeah, so managing psychological capital is all about intentionally managing your mental and physical state to optimize decision-making under pressure. Remember, our minds and bodies are interconnected.
Right. We talked about embodied cognition earlier.
Right.
So what are some practical steps we can take to build this psychological capital?
Well, let's start with the basics. Sleep, nutrition, and exercise.
Okay.
These are crucial not just for your overall well-being, but for your performance in the market as well.
Okay. That makes sense, but those seem like common sense things we all know we should be doing.
Yeah.
How do they specifically relate to trading?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Sleep deprivation impacts risk perception,
Yeah.
leading to poorer judgment calls.
Right.
Proper nutrition gives your brain the fuel it needs
Yeah.
to function at its best.
Okay.
And exercise, it's not just about physical health.
Yeah.
It helps to reduce stress and enhance mental resilience,
Okay.
which is crucial when navigating the market's
Right.
ups and downs.
So it's like building a strong foundation to weather
Exactly.
those inevitable market storms.
Right.
But what about the emotional side of things?
Yeah.
How do we manage those feelings of, say, fear or greed that can really take over when you're trading?
That's where self-awareness and emotional regulation come in.
Okay.
Shull emphasizes the importance of acknowledging and labeling your emotions.
Oh,
Simply putting a name to what you're feeling can help you avoid impulsive actions.
it's like taking a step back from the situation.
Right.
Observing your emotions without judgment.
Exactly. By developing self-awareness and practicing techniques to regulate those emotions,
So
you can avoid being hijacked by them and make more rational choices.
well, this is all starting to make sense.
Good.
But let's go back to those FECs for a second.
Okay.
We left off on how they might be unconsciously driving our trading decisions.
Right.
How do we even begin to uncover and manage those?
So Shull suggests a powerful exercise.
Okay.
Reflect on 3 vivid memories, ideally from childhood,
Okay.
moments that felt intense, either positive or negative.
Okay.
Write them down, detailing the circumstances, and most importantly, what you were feeling at the time.
Okay, so I have my memories written down.
Okay.
What's the next step?
Here's the interesting part.
Okay.
Now, try to put yourself in the shoes of the other people in those memories.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what were they feeling? Happy, sad, angry? What might have been motivating their actions?
As we're trying to understand the emotional context of those memories from multiple perspectives.
Right.
But how does that relate back to trading?
By understanding the emotional dynamics of those memories,
Okay.
you might start to see patterns in how you interact with others, how you perceive yourself, how you respond to challenges.
Interesting. So if I'm feeling anxious and wanting to exit a winning trade prematurely,
Right.
I might ask myself, Does this feeling remind me of one of those childhood memories?
Exactly. You might discover that the fear of never getting what you wanted is leading you to sabotage your own success.
Wow.
Or maybe you're stubbornly holding on to a losing trade,
Right.
refusing to admit defeat.
Yeah.
Could that be a reflection of a competitive upbringing? Always striving to win at all costs.
Those are some pretty powerful connections.
Yeah.
But once we uncover these patterns, what can we do to actually manage them?
That's where building psychological capital comes in.
Right.
Developing that self-awareness and emotional regulation to make clear, confident decisions, even when those FECs are triggered.
So if I feel that familiar anxiety creeping in,
Right.
I might pause, take a deep breath,
Yep.
and remind myself that this time I'm going to let those profits run.
Precisely. It's about breaking those old patterns.
Right.
Making choices that align with your trading goals, not your subconscious fears.
So we're talking about building new mental habits.
Right.
Replacing those reactive FEC-driven responses
Yeah.
with conscious, intentional actions.
It takes time and practice.
Right.
But with each conscious choice, you strengthen those new neural pathways and weaken the grip of those old emotional patterns.
It's like retraining your brain for success in the market.
Exactly.
Now, Shull also talks about mark-to-market emotions.
Oh, right.
What are those exactly? Is
Yeah.
it some kind of emotional accounting system?
Not quite. It refers to those feelings we experience
Okay.
in response to the market's fluctuations.
Uh-huh.
The ups and downs, the wins and losses.
Okay.
Shull argues that these emotions aren't something to be ignored or suppressed.
Right.
They're valuable data points.
We're back to emotions as data.
Yeah.
It seems to be a core concept in Shull's approach.
It is. Instead of viewing emotions as the enemy,
Right.
we should try to understand them
Yeah.
and use them to our advantage.
Okay. I'm on board with emotions as data.
Good.
But how do we apply this to our trading?
So Shull recommends keeping a trading journal,
Okay.
but with a twist.
Okay.
Instead of just recording your trades and their outcomes, also note your emotional state before, during, and after each trade.
So I might write something like, feeling anxious and impatient before entering this trade, second-guessing myself during the trade,
Right.
relieved but a bit disappointed after exiting.
Exactly. By tracking those feelings, you might start to see patterns in how you react to different market situations. Maybe you tend to get greedy and overtrade when the market's soaring.
Right.
Or you become fearful and indecisive during periods of high volatility.
It's like creating an emotional map of our trading behavior.
It is.
And once you're aware of those patterns, you can start developing strategies to manage them.
Exactly. If you know you tend to get greedy during bull markets,
Right.
maybe you set stricter risk management rules to avoid overextending yourself.
Okay.
Or if you get fearful during volatility, you might reduce your trading frequency or even step back entirely until you regain your composure.
It's like having a personalized playbook for managing your emotions in the market. But remember, it's not about eliminating emotions altogether.
Right.
That's impossible.
Right.
It's about acknowledging them, understanding their influence,
Yeah.
and making choices that align with your trading goals.
Exactly.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've explored how our emotions can be valuable data.
Yeah.
Those fascinating FECs, the importance of managing our psychological capital.
Right.
But I'm curious, how does all of this come together in the real world?
Yeah.
How do we take all these insights and apply them to our actual trading?
So it's about synthesizing all these concepts into a cohesive approach.
Okay.
Remember, we're not just disembodied minds making calculations.
Right.
We're whole beings, and that includes our physical state.
Right.
Shull emphasizes the importance of sleep, nutrition, and exercise.
Right.
Those might seem basic,
Right.
but they're foundational.
Right. Like you said earlier, a well-rested, well-nourished trader
Exactly.
will be better equipped to handle the market's ups and downs.
Right.
It's about having the mental and physical energy to make those clear, confident decisions.
Exactly.
But the market itself is a bit of a wild beast.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that inherent unpredictability?
Well, Shull encourages us to view the market as a social contest,
Yeah, okay.
a game of perception and prediction, instead of trying to predict the future with certainty.
Right.
We should focus on understanding the psychology of other market participants.
Okay.
Their hopes, fears, biases.
So it's like a giant poker game.
Exact.
Where everyone's trying to read each other's minds.
It is, yeah.
And that's where psychological leverage comes in, right?
Right.
Understanding our own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Managing those FECs.
Yeah.
And really paying attention to our emotional responses.
Exactly. It's about building an edge that goes beyond the numbers.
Right.
An edge rooted in self-awareness, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
A deep understanding of human behavior.
It's fascinating to think about the market this way. Almost like a living, breathing entity driven by the collective psychology of all its participants.
Right.
But it also makes me wonder, are there traders who, even with all the technical skills and knowledge, still struggle because of these psychological factors?
Absolutely. Shull shares stories of traders who, despite having all the right tools, were held back by unconscious biases and emotional blind spots.
Yeah.
One trader consistently exited winning trades prematurely, mirroring a childhood fear of never getting what he wanted.
It's like he was sabotaging his own success.
He was.
Without even realizing it.
Yeah.
Another trader's performance tanked after creating a detailed trading plan.
Oh, wow.
It turned out that the act of planning triggered a subconscious rebellion against authority, stemming from a difficult relationship with his father.
Wow, yeah.
These stories are both fascinating and a little unsettling.
I know.
If we're all walking around with these hidden programs,
Yeah.
these FECs, how do we even begin to identify and manage them?
So the first step is awareness.
Okay.
Take some time to reflect on your childhood.
Okay.
Those formative experiences. Your relationships with key figures in your life.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what were the dominant emotions in my childhood? Were there unspoken rules or expectations?
Okay.
What were my typical coping mechanisms?
So we're digging deep into our personal history to understand those underlying emotional patterns.
Right.
Then connect those insights to your trading behavior.
Right.
Pay attention to how you feel in different market scenarios. Notice those recurring thoughts.
Yeah.
Emotions, physical sensations.
Right. So if you're feeling anxious and wanting to exit a winning trade early, ask yourself, does this feeling remind me of any of those childhood experiences?
Exactly. Or if you're stubbornly holding on to a losing trade, refusing to admit defeat, could that be a reflection of a competitive upbringing?
It could be, yeah.
Making these connections is key to understanding the forces that might be driving our behavior.
Right.
It's like shining a light on those hidden programs, bringing them into our conscious awareness so we can start to change the script.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There's no quick fix for erasing those patterns.
Right.
It takes time, patience, and a willingness to face those uncomfortable truths about ourselves.
Yeah.
But with each conscious choice, each time we choose a different path, we weaken the grip of those old patterns and build new, healthier ones.
It sounds like we're talking about rewiring our brains for success in the market.
We are.
Which is a pretty exciting prospect. So if we were to boil it all down, what are the key takeaways here?
Right.
What should traders, including myself, really remember from all of this?
The most successful traders aren't necessarily the ones with the most sophisticated algorithms or the best insider information. They're the ones who've mastered their own minds.
Right.
They understand their emotions, their triggers, and can navigate the market with clarity, confidence, and a deep understanding of human behavior.
They've built that psychological leverage.
They have.
Cultivated resilience.
Yeah.
Embraced the uncertainty that's inherent in the market.
Right.
They've taken what could be a psychological disadvantage and turned it into a winning strategy.
Exactly, and so can you.
Wow.
Yeah.
So keep exploring, keep learning, keep growing.
Right.
Remember, the most important investment you'll ever make is in yourself.
That's right.
That's it for this deep dive.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
Yeah.
And we encourage you to continue exploring the fascinating world of market psychology.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy trading.
See you next time.